The Aerolite 103 is available from Ultralight Sport Aircraft, located in Deland, Florida. Why should I buy one? Well, let's find out from the experts.
Okay, this is Bill Whitley. I'm here with Dennis Carley, the owner and manufacturer of the famous Aerolite 103. And I'm a prospective customer. I'm thinking about buying one. But I got some questions for Dennis because I'm pretty particular. Dennis, I know you make the plane and so forth, but frankly, I'm cheap. I want to pay as little money as I can to get a plane, and I want quality.
All right.
Can you deliver?
Oh, yeah. We can deliver on both of those counts. We've got, we got an airplane that is probably one of the most inexpensive, if not the most inexpensive aircraft in this category. Been on the market for a little over 20 years, 600 or 700 of them flying in that period of time. And we routinely have people come up and look at the airframe when we have it on display at this show or Sun and Fun or Oshkosh and comment on the quality of the airframe itself. And in addition to that, you probably know we sent one of the airframes over to our distributor in Europe a few years ago and went through a load testing regiment there to get it certificated in their 120 category. There's pictures of that on our website, but you can look at those photographs, see the amount of weight that's piled up on the airframe, and it's a good, robust, solid airframe. Well, we use all aircraft-grade aluminum. It's all 6061 T6 aircraft aluminum. It's all clear anodized for corrosion resistance. The hardware throughout the load-bearing members is all standard aircraft hardware, AN3, AN4 hardware. So it's the same material that you would find in almost any production aircraft as well.
Okay, all right. Okay, it's inexpensive and it's quality. All right, but I want choice. I might want to build the plane myself, and I can save some money doing that, right?
You sure can, yep.
But what if I decide I don't really want to do that and I'd really like to have a plane made? I'll bet you can't both sell the kits and give me a delivered plane.
No, we can. We, for years and years, it was just ready to fly only.
Yeah.
That was the only choice. And then we had such a demand for the kits when we would get the feedback from the folks at Oshkosh and Sun and Fun. So ultimately we wrote an assembly manual. That took us about 8 months to write that. It's 200 and some pages long, got a couple hundred color photographs in there. It's very methodical, step-by-step, how to put it together. So we're almost now at 50% ready to fly and 50% kit. And the folks that build this from the kit, the average build time that's reported back to us is somewhere in the 50 to 60 hour range.
Okay, all right. So the plane's inexpensive, it's quality. I can get either a kit or fully built. But you're going to stick me with just one engine. And what if I want a different kind of engine? I mean,
That's your lucky day again. There's, I think, 6 engine choices, and they range in horsepower from 28 horsepower at the low end up to about 50 horsepower at the top end. And that performance range, I'm 220 pounds. We're about 80 feet above sea level here at our airport.
Yeah.
On an 80-degree day, at the low end of that horsepower spectrum, a 500 to 600 feet per minute climb rate, 50 to 55 mile an hour cruise speed. Go up to the opposite end of that spectrum at the 50 horsepower range. My climb rate's 15 to 1600 feet per minute, cruise speed of 65 to 70 miles an hour.
Okay, all right. So you got all right, but I don't want to have to pay an A&P to come over and change the oil and do that kind of stuff. I'll bet you got to have an A&P to come out here and inspect it and do all that work, and it's going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Yeah. Well, if you have it and you're flying it as an ultralight, Part 103 ultralight, then obviously there's no requirements for annual inspections, and that doesn't require an A&P to do that at all. If you choose to buy the kit and assemble it yourself and certificate it as an experimental, then you can obtain a repairman certificate. You can do your own annual inspections or your conditional inspections and sign those off in your logbook. And about probably 2/3 of the customers who build it from a kit build it as an ultralight. So they're flying it as an ultralight.
Yeah.
And about 1/3 of them then certificate it. And they all pretty much obtain a repairman certificate and do that themselves.
Okay, and I noticed you got, I know you're good at trying to keep the cost down and so forth, but you got a lot of fancy things on this thing. Look, you got some wheel pants back there, all that kind of stuff. You're just adding up the cost on that.
The airplane behind us here has got strut fairings, gear leg fairings, and wheel pants that are optional equipment.
Okay.
Together, those add about $800.
Okay.
So it's not a huge expense. What you get for that $800 is, at the low end of the horsepower spectrum, 6 miles an hour increase in cruise speed and 100 feet per minute increase in climb rate. So that's normally, for most guys, that's $800 well spent.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff is also something you can retrofit after the fact. So if you're really on a budget, you want to build the airplane as cheap as possible.
Right.
6 months down the road, your birthday comes up, you tell your husband or your wife, hey, I want strut fairings for my birthday. You can put them on after the fact. The basic airframe kit includes wheels, tires, brakes, windscreen, electric flaps, all the hardware, everything you need to put the airframe together. So there's really not a whole lot of options, really, that aren't already standard features on the airplane.
Okay, you say that, but we're here in Deland, Florida. This is where your facility, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I get the plane, I get it there, and I decide I want to do these things. Where do I get them? I mean, how do I do it? Do you actually come up with this stuff?
Oh, yeah, we have all that stuff. That's all standard things that we keep in stock and can supply anytime. About 3/4 of the guys will order all the options they want with the kit when they put it together, but there's a fair amount out of them that after the fact will say, hey, I wanted to add these wheel pants now. I was flying off pavement, now I moved the plane to a grass strip, I want wheel pants on, so I'm kicking stuff up in the prop arc. So we can ship you out a set of wheel pants the next day, and 2 days later you got them on your airplane, you're ready to go.
Okay, sounds good. But, over the years, there's been a lot of guys making airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll make a nice airplane, and then they'll be gone.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been doing it, been building airplanes full-time for 19 years. This design's been around for 20 years. And I jokingly say, we're going to have to be here tomorrow because we're so far backed up building airplanes. It's so popular. There's no way we can stop. We at any given time, we've got a production schedule that has somewhere between 10 and 25 airplanes backed up on it at any given time. So it's all good.
All right, so you got the parts. If I have a broken part, I need to call you up and you can ship it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I know there's something I can find that's just not right here. Let's see. Inexpensive, quality, know-how. Wait a minute. I'll bet this is a fly-by-night plane. I'll bet you just came up with this thing. You just sat down in the back of an envelope and drew it out, and it's really not well designed.
The guy that designed the airplane, 21 years ago, he had been around this type of aviation for quite a while. He had been dealers for other manufacturers of this type of aircraft, and he will tell you, I took what I thought were the best attributes of the airplanes that I was familiar with, and I combined them into one. And if you look at the plane, you can see some of that, but it is proven over all those years, the number of planes that we've got out there flying, in that amount of time. And you couple that with the fact that it has been tested sufficiently, you can get in it and know that it's a
well-designed plane. Yeah, okay. All right, Dennis, I hear what you're saying. I hear you talking, but I want to go look at the plane. I want to see some of these things for myself. Let's go take a look at the plane.
All right.
All right, Dennis, it's a nice enough plane, but how do I get in this thing? It looks too small. I don't think I can fit in there.
It's actually very easy. If you take your right foot and just step straight across there and just stand up and sit straight back in the seat.
Huh. You're right, actually. It's kind of easy to get in the plane. But I got old knees and stuff here. Actually, I was able to do it.
Yeah.
My hips. Oh, well. Right. Dennis, what is this thing here?
That's the control yoke. Control column controls ailerons and elevator.
Okay.
Here, and all those controls on the ailerons and the elevator and the flaps are push-pull cables. So that's how you feel how it's so nice and smooth. There's no slop in that. Same for the elevators.
It is.
Yep.
But I'll bet it won't work as a stick if I push it over real hard.
It definitely won't. You can push it as hard as you want.
All right, so you got to be sort of like a guy that flies a Cessna or something, don't you?
Well, conventional aircraft is a yoke like that.
Yeah. So I guess guys that have flown a lot of planes, they feel comfortable.
It's a very natural transition for them.
Okay. All right, and let's see. I got pedals down here.
Yep.
I'll bet it doesn't. I know. That's why you have it open down here. I have to put my feet down to lift the plane up to turn it, don't I?
No, we call that the Flintstone brakes right there. Now it's 100% steerable nose wheel there.
Okay. All right, let's see. Oh, so it does the rudder and the nose wheel.
Yep.
All right. Well, all right, that works. But you look, you don't have much of a panel here. Let's see. You got a EGT. What's an EGT?
Exhaust gas temperature. Over here is cylinder head temperature. Got altimeter here.
Yeah.
TAC, which also has a flight cumulative flight timer, slip indicator, airspeed indicator.
Oh, there is an airspeed indicator. Huh. Well, all right. So you do have instruments on it. Okay. All right, but look here. You're just trying to save money by taking this out of here. So you're not even getting a full windscreen.
Yep. Actually, I'll tell you, I'm 6'2", and I can sit in the airplane and fly it with no sunglasses on, and my eyes don't tear up. This windscreen deflects it all past you. Okay. It kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You get no wind blast in your face, yet it's still open out the side here for that open cockpit feeling.
Yeah, where it's 95 degrees, you know.
Yeah.
You're not closed up like a Cessna.
That's right. Yep.
All right. Boy, when you look off the sides, you're pretty open here, aren't you?
Sure is. That's one of the big appeals to this type of airplane.
Okay. All right. So let's see. But I'll bet you can't have electric start in this.
Electric start is standard on every engine except one, and on that engine it's an option. So almost every plane that goes out is electric start.
Okay. All right. So you can start electric. I'll bet you if the wings fell off, you're just completely out of luck in this plane.
Well, that would be a bad day, but we have an optional ballistic parachute that we put on probably about 90%. Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
The red thing. It's warning.
Yep.
What's a ballistic parachute?
Rocket deployed parachute attached to the airframe of the aircraft, so it's a complete aircraft or a parachute system for the aircraft and the occupant.
Okay. You pull that thing and you just float down.
It's it's very quick.
Okay. All right. What is this material here?
That's Dacron sailcloth. That's a standard in the industry for ultralight type airplanes. It's pre-colored. It's in a variety of different colors, both standard colors and fluorescent colors. All of our sails are sewn to the customer's specifications. So if you tell us, I want a blue wing and then red ailerons and a purple tail, then that's the way we sew the sails for your airplane.
All right. Well, actually, it looks like if you wanted to replace a sail or something, it wouldn't be that too much difficult to do that.
Nope. You can take the airplane apart, replace the entire sails, and put it back together in about a day and a half.
Wow. Okay. All right. There's no radio in here, so you're just sunk on that.
Yeah, we actually have a radio mount that mounts right here on this gusset plate.
Okay.
An ICOM A6 or A24 radio will fit into it. We've got an external antenna that mounts up here at the top of the lift strut. And then there's a headset we use from a company called Lynx in England that plugs right into the side of the radio. And your communications, Bill, are as clear as you and I talking right now.
Wow. Okay, so I can fly into a grass strip and go have my hamburger and talk to the guys.
Yep, absolutely.
These are little wheels. Look at how small those little wheels are. I'll bet you can't take any bumps or...
Yeah, you'd be surprised. They're 6-inch wheels, 4-ply tires. We've got fiberglass gear legs which absorb some of that shock if you're on a rough terrain. The nose gear has a spring shock absorber on it as well. And when you talk about an airplane that weighs 250 or 300 pounds with a 200-pound pilot in it, you don't need really big wheels to accommodate 500 pounds or 550 pounds of total weight on the gear.
But I'll bet there's no suspension. I'll bet they're just fixed in there.
No, it's a fiberglass tube on the main gear. So if you're taxing, you'll see it flexing. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Oh, you don't have any brakes. You can't stop. You guys that Flintstone thing. You got to put your feet down to stop.
Yeah, you actually have on the opposite side there's a lever. That's mechanical brakes. Yep. And then we also have a hydraulic brake option. And on the hydraulic brakes, it's a squeeze handle right on that same lever.
Okay. They got brakes too, huh?
Yep.
All right. You have reverse. Can I go backwards in it?
The reverse thruster, yeah, all you have to do is just get out, turn the prop around, and you're good to go.
Or actually, you can use the Fred Flintstone method.
Well, you can do that. You can back up. We routinely do the run-up with the Flintstone brakes engaged.
Okay. Okay, we're back here at the power plant, and I wanted to check this out because, you know, it's no good when you're flying along and the engine craps out on you or something happens. I noticed you got some cheap piece of wood back here. Why not, you know, one of the newer props, an aluminum prop or something?
Well, we do have various prop options. We got 4 different props that we use. This wood prop is, what, from all the testing we've done for static thrust, the wooden prop made by Culver Prop has proven to be the highest quality and also the highest thrust output on the lower scale of horsepower ranges, 28, 30 horsepower. As we come up that horsepower scale, we use composite adjustable pitch props in 2 or 3 blades. But on the low end, this absolutely has been the best prop we've ever found.
Actually, I have both carbon fiber props and wood props, and I actually like the wooden prop better. It just seems to have a little bit more give and a little more feel to it sometimes. Maybe it's just subjective, but I really do.
Yeah, and there, you know, every engine has a certain torque band and a horsepower range,
right.
And there's not one prop that's going to fit best on every engine. It's really a matter of trial and error, and we've done lots and lots of prop testing and have got down to, you know, okay, this prop and this prop will work on this engine best, right. and that's it doesn't. Sometimes people think, oh, I got to spend more money to have a better prop. Well, that's not always the case.
Yeah. And it's nice. It's a nice fixed prop, and if you keep it dry and clean, it doesn't. All right, but I got you on this one. You got a rubber band up here from the engine down here to the drive. Now, what's the story on that?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's 2 ways to reduce the RPMs on the 2-cycle engines. They normally turn somewhere between 5,500 and 6,500 as a maximum RPM. Right. Obviously, you can't spin a prop that fast; it would come apart. So you have to have some sort of reduction, and that can either be done with a belt reduction or a gearbox.
Right.
On our aircraft, when we're always concerned about weight of things, the reduction drive for these is normally a lighter application than a gearbox. Right. And that's this. You know, this type of belt is it's multiply. It's very durable. We get usually 100 hours or so before we change the belts out.
Okay. And because it's fabric and you know, tested and so forth, it has it can absorb any of the little vibrations and things that are there too. All right. What kind of engine is this?
This is a Kawasaki 340.
Okay. And you do have an electric start
Yep.
on it. You don't have to pull a cord on it.
Nope.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, you got some pieces of rubber down here. What are these for?
Yep, that's the shock mount. So your vibration of your engine doesn't transfer over to the airframe. That's the sole purpose of shock mount. And all aircraft use some sort of shock mount system to isolate that.
Right, so you're not being vibrated so much there in the seat.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Muffler?
Yep.
How long will they last? I bet they heat up and they rust out and they're...
Well, you know, they're steel, so they can over time get surface rust on them. These are painted with a high temp paint, and you can also ceramic coat them to inhibit that rust. But now they last for years and years and years, and hundreds or if not thousands of hours.
If you take care of it,
like everything.
If you leave it out in the sun all the time and
and the rain
and then the salt air and stuff, yeah, I bet it will. Okay. All right. Well, I see you guys actually did put some safety wire on this prop here.
yeah. We try to do everything right up to the normal aircraft standards.
Yeah, these look like all AN bolts and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what kind of aluminum tubing is this?
That's 6061 T6. That's standard aircraft aluminum. It's clear anodized for corrosion resistance. The rivets are structural rivets. They're sealed. Each rivet's an 860-pound shear strength.
Okay. What's this thing here?
That's the parachute. That's the canopy in that black pack, and then the rocket is on the bottom on that white tube.
Down here.
Yep.
All right. So when you pull the handle, lock it out.
Yep.
And there's a strap here.
That's a Kevlar bridle, and it's routed out there around the tail boom tube and then back up to the center of gravity on the root tube. So once it's under canopy, it's in the same orientation you see it now, wheels down.
Okay. So you just float down. Become a passenger, as it were.
You are a passenger at that point. Yep.
All right, and you've got some structural tubes back here. What's the purpose of having all this? I understand the boom tube, you need that.
Yep.
What do you got these for?
All this stuff is just to brace the tail and hold everything in place. So it's basically everything is triangulated. That makes it strong, and that makes it so there's no significant flex in it.
All right, I'll bet in this plane you can't slow it down. You know, you need to pull some flaps or something. You're out of luck, right?
Stall speed on this plane with no flaps is about 30 miles an hour. With the flaps, about 28 miles an hour.
You do have flaps on.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Boy, it's a small gas tank you got down here.
Yep. Part 103 airplanes, 5 gallons is the maximum limit. We have, for our planes that are being built and certificated as experimental, 5, 7, or 10 gallon tanks. So there is some choice there with fuel capacity.
Well, how much fuel does this Kawasaki burn, do you think?
It'll vary depending on the RPM of your cruising RPM, but it'll be somewhere in the 3 gallons per hour range. So
okay.
If you've got a 5 gallon tank, you've got roughly an hour, and a little less than an hour and a half's worth of time.
And you can put a 10 gallon tank on here if you make it, light sport aircraft,
yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you could go a ways in that. You could go 3 or 4 hours.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Actually, everything that Dennis has told me is right, and it seems to be good. But I think I can find something back here at the tail. All right. And this is what kind of fabric did you say this was?
Dacron sailcloth.
All right. There's a zipper in here. What's a zipper doing?
Yep. On these kits, all this covering is pre-sewn envelopes for every surface. Yeah. So once you get ready to cover, you pull that envelope over that frame. Mm-hmm. You pull the zipper around to tighten it up, and the covering is done for that.
That's surface. All you have to do?
That's all there is.
Now wait a minute. You got to put it on, glue it, sand it.
Nope.
Paint it.
Nope.
Put the sealer on it.
No.
Paint it again. Put the top coat on it.
Fortunately, you don't have to go through that.
Okay.
That stitch process, the standard aircraft fabric, just goes on forever as far as covering the airplane. If you can cover this whole airplane in a day. If you were covering this with standard aircraft fabric,
right.
stitched polyfiber fabric, it would take you probably about 40 hours just to cover it, and then you'd have another 30 or 40 in painting it.
Yeah, and then you'd have to paint it, and then when you'd have to sand out the drips and all that. Oh, yeah. You said something about push-pull cables earlier. What are these things here now?
Yep, that's a push-pull cable or a teleflex cable. Sometimes they're called Bowden cables. It's a way to actuate that control surface without there being slop in it or having it being
tight, and you get a good response.
Yep.
Well, I hate to say this, Dennis, but I can't find anything wrong with your plane.
Well, I guess we need to go over here and get your checkbook out then.
All right, let's go do it.
All right.